Oh, 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 guys, welcome back to another episode of The Breaking Point. As you could probably already tell by the title, today's episode. Oh my lord, these damn allergies. Ugh. Hate the change of the season. I like the season, I like fall, but oh man, I'm all congested, waking up with an itchy throat. Gotta get me some allergy meds or something. Damn. Alright, so as you could probably already tell by the title of this episode, why is Kana destined to fail in the WWE? That's a pretty bold statement to be making there, huh? All right, so maybe Kana isn't destined to fail in the WWE. But I mean, come on. I mean, you look at the way that they're handling their women on the main roster, and I'm sure you guys can probably understand why I'm a little bit nervous. I mean, you look at Charlotte, you look at Sasha, uh, Becky Lynch, Paige, Emma. You look how they're really handling them, and how these women are more than capable of putting on 5-star matches. Yet for some reason they can't seem to even put on one decent match on the main roster. You kind of gotta look at it the standpoint of they're doing something right down at NXT because these women obviously have the ability. You know, after talent, see, the way I look at it, your talent is responsible for just that, talent. Period. You are responsible for everything else. And if something goes wrong outside of that talent, that falls on the WWE. They're not doing their job, which is bullshit because these women are fantastic. It's ridiculous. These girls are putting on 5-star matches down at NXT. Go back and watch Takeover Brooklyn if you're doubting me. Go watch Sasha versus Bayley and try to tell me that match did not steal the show. If for some reason you don't think that match was any good, then I can't really help you. That you're on your own. Because that match, in my opinion, not only stole that show, but stole SummerSlam as well. And it wasn't even a part of that show. They just put on an incredible match. There was something in that match that I haven't seen in a long time. There was just, it was great. The other matches on TakeOver Brooklyn on that card were fantastic. But something about that match, there was just something about it that had just that much more. And I don't know, maybe it was the fact that it was a women's match and, you know, they did not want to refer to it as a Divas match. Maybe that really helped elevate it for me personally. I don't know. I know I got goosebumps when the one commentator there, I don't remember his name, but I call him Michael Cole 2.0 because that's exactly what he is. When he said the women's division is back, I got goosebumps because I'm like, that this is what we've been wanting. But then you move to the main roster, and it's like they have amnesia over there. They forget everything that's happened. Instead of saying, "Oh, these guys, these girls, they're fantastic on that. What they're doing, they're getting ratings. You know, they're getting money coming in." Instead of trying to recreate it, you know that old adage, "If it ain't broke, don't fix it." Someone needs to beat that into Vince because he doesn't seem to get that concept. See, the women's division down at NXT, it ain't broke, so don't fix it. Stop trying to make these girls do something different. They try, when they come to the main roster, it seems like they try to fit these women into a box. And they're only allowed to do just so much within that box. You can't stifle these women and expect them to perform like they are down at NXT. It's just not possible. You need to let them do what they do, and the money will come in. The ratings will come in. That division that has been dead for years will finally come back to life if you just let them do them. And that's plain and simple. And that brings me to why I'm so worried about Kana. Because if you look at that and the way that they've been handling these women, you know, I feel like they're going to put her in that same box. And she's one of these performers who is so fantastic at what she does. She is not going to be, you cannot put something like that or someone like that in a box. You just can't stifle her. You have to let her be her, or else it will not work. You know, it just seems like there's an overall lack of effort when you get to the main roster. There's such a contrast between the two shows, and it's almost like you look at, and I refer to like Brie and Nikki as they're bred in the main event, the main roster system, and Charlotte, Paige, Becky Lynch, Emma, And I say Emma because I feel like I think she's a great example of how these women are being treated, because she's one of those wrestlers who is just so talented. But I guarantee you, if you don't know who she is outside of the WWE, you would think she sucks. And that's at the fault of the WWE, because they're not providing these women, and I mean, and maybe this is an argument for a different podcast episode, but this even goes to all the other male superstars too. I mean, your women superstars and your male superstars, you're not giving them the platform they need to really sell to the fans and show the fans what they have to offer. So the only fans really digging these guys, the only fans who are truly invested, are the ones who know what they're capable of. But we're not getting that because we're watching the WWE. We know that because we've been following their careers forever. And NXT is one of those shows that allow us to see who they are. So when they move to the main roster and we're seeing them being thrown into matches, like we see the women being thrown into every single week, these meaningless garbage matches that mean nothing, that are completely rushed because they're not getting nearly enough time. I mean, let's just face it. I don't care who you are. I don't care how good of a wrestler you are. It is nearly impossible to tell a meaningful story in the amount of time these women are getting. They're getting maybe 5-6 minutes tops, if that. And that includes commercials. And these women are expected to put on these great performances. Nobody's going to be able to do that. That's especially women who haven't been doing this for that long. Yes, Charlotte is a Flair, but she hasn't been doing this for that long. Sasha hasn't been doing this for that long. It's not going to be possible. It's so difficult. Maybe not impossible, but I mean, it's highly improbable these women are going to be able to pull it off. I mean, because they want to fit all this great stuff in. They have all these amazing ideas. And instead of giving it to them, you're like, you only get this amount of time. So now they're rushing because they want to fit everything in. And I don't blame them. You need to really give these women a shot and not just try to placate everybody by saying, oh, here's this Divas Revolution we're going to give you guys. Just, in my opinion, just to shut people up. That's what I feel like they're doing. They're just trying to shut the fans up who want this, the women who keep calling for it. Because I really feel a lot of the powers that be in the back don't really give a damn about the women's division. They don't see any money in it. I'm looking at you, Kevin Dunn, you piece of shit. I apologize, but no, seriously, he's garbage. He needs to get gone yesterday. But I mean, Kana is this woman, and if you're unfamiliar with Kana, you owe yourself a favor. Go check her out. Seriously, when you're done with this episode, don't skip this episode. That'd be rude. But when the episode's over with, definitely go and check her out. Go look up her matches. She's incredible. I mean, she has such advanced chain wrestling. Her catch wrestling is fantastic. I'm biased because that's one of my favorite styles. I'm a fan of catch wrestling. I love that style, and that's really what she's good at. She's really big on kicks, submission holds. Those are her main staples, and those are a big part of her moveset. That also scares me because I'm afraid that WWE is going to deem a lot of these submissions, a lot of these kicks as being too dangerous for their roster. They have a tendency to do that constantly. It's frustrating because it really diminishes a lot of what these women can do. You cannot get rid of this woman's moveset. You do that, you ruin her completely. She's also known for being very stiff. If you're familiar with the Japanese style of wrestling, I'm a huge fan of it. For this specific reason, she's extremely stiff, which is a good thing. I know that sounds bad. For those of you who don't know what stiff means, basically it means that you're not afraid to hit, not afraid to get hit. A good example within the WWE would be someone like Brock Lesnar. That's a good recent example. He's someone who is known to be stiff in the ring. Some people are afraid to wrestle him because he's stiff, but to me as a fan, it makes what they do that much more realistic, and which is exactly why I love watching New Japan, watching Pro Wrestling Noah, watching a lot of those indies in Japan, not calling New Japan or Pro Wrestling Noah an indie, but I'm saying outside of those as well, the indies. But, that in itself also scares me because that's another reason they can deem her too dangerous. If she's not, because they're not going to see her as a main event star. First of all, she's a woman. And I don't think that they view any women as having any potential to be a true main event star, which is absolute bullshit. But that's the garbage backstage politics. That's just the way as a fan. That's just my opinion. I have no basis on that. But from what I'm seeing, I don't really think that they really care. So this woman coming in, I don't think it means, I think they see dollar signs and really care what she's capable of. And I don't really think they care how entertaining her matches are. I think they just want her there because it's going to draw in that international crowd. So I don't think they care whether or not they stifle her. I care because she's amazing at what she does. One of the best performers in the world. At least, again, in my opinion. And, and another thing is, will the main roster girls, and I use the term main roster loosely because I know a lot of people think NXT is technically the main roster or is also a main roster brand, or a main brand. I know Triple H pushes that constantly. I'm inclined to agree with him that it is also a main roster in my opinion. But, going on how the WWE, how the powers that be see it, they don't see that brand as anything more than just they see it like any other independent circuit. It's attached to them. They're getting money from it, so they like it. But it's not a big deal to them. They don't really care, which is nonsense because if they were to pay attention, they would know, all right, fans are really digging what's going on here, and it's not translating very well over here. So maybe we should find some kind of connection. Maybe those fans will kind of trickle over. But no, they don't see that. They don't correlate that because they have their heads too far up their own asses. But, I mean, it makes me wonder, will these main roster girls be able to keep up with someone like Kana? Because we're already seeing a lot of miscommunication coming from these matches on the main roster at the pay-per-views. I mean, you see Nikki Bella, you see Brie Bella, and they're struggling to keep up with these girls. And it's not at any fault of their own because they try. And I know they get a lot of flack. They really do. They get a lot of crap from the fans. And to be quite honest, I don't think they deserve it. I think the people that deserve the flack and the crap from the fans is the WWE because they're the ones who bred these girls to do what they're doing. But they are trying hard. And you can't say they haven't improved since the time they stepped into the ring to now. They've improved greatly. But when you're bred in that system, they were literally brought up inside of a box. They don't know anything outside of it. Where it's the opposite for those NXT girls. They were bred outside of this box, and now they're being put in it. They know what's out there. They want what's out there. But it seems like when they get to the main brands, they're not being allowed outside of it. They're trying their best, but they're so good at they have such advanced chain wrestling that Nikki, Brie, even Naomi, Alicia Fox, who are great wrestlers in their own right. Out of everybody on the roster, I think Naomi's one of the most athletic and one of the most gifted women on the roster right now, in the main roster. And even she's having trouble keeping up. It's because I feel like they're taught such a limited style over there. And I refer to it like they're two separate entities because, that's really what they kind of are. I mean, NXT is completely different from what they're doing over on Raw. And, there really is that stark contrast. You can see that the people coming up from NXT, even the guys that are coming up from NXT, they seem to be way more advanced than a lot of these guys on the main roster. I mean, a guy like Neville, you look at Kevin Owens. I mean, Kevin Owens, you look at Ryback. I mean, you look at Kevin Owens, look at the stark contrast between a Kevin Owens and a Ryback. You have a Ryback who's extremely muscular, athletic. Then you have a Kevin Owens who they deem to be too overweight and not doesn't have the main event look. But he is way more athletic, way better at wrestling than Ryback is and it's not at the fault of Ryback because Ryback really loves his business. I respect the hell out of that guy because he wants this, but he's not being put in a position to really do anything with this because he's not been given a foundation. It's the same thing with these women. They've not been given a foundation, and I'll keep playing this because I think it's the truth. I don't think that there's certain people backstage that I don't think want these women to be at the top. I think they don't believe this division makes any money. And again, I'm looking at you, Kevin Dunn, because I really think he has a huge part to do with this. I don't think maybe he was flirting with some chick back in the day and she wouldn't even look in his direction. And ever since then, he's hated the divas. Probably, Kevin Dunn looks like he smells like feet. If you don't know who Kevin Dunn is, maybe I'll do a podcast episode on him, but he definitely looks like he smells like feet and cheese. I don't know. He looks like he, definitely, maybe it's the rat teeth, but dude needs to go. Seriously, dude needs to get his shit and get out. But I'm running into overtime. Long story short, Kana will not succeed, at least in my opinion, in the WWE if they put her in this box, because it really just takes away everything that makes her so special. And if you don't believe me, it's very prevalent on the main roster right now on Raw, because these women who are so special are already being put in a box, and it's completely taking away from what's making them special. Look at Sasha Banks versus Bayley and compare it to anything they've done on Raw, on SmackDown, and at any main roster pay-per-view. Go look at what they did at SummerSlam and try to compare that to the women's match. Compare that Divas match at SummerSlam to the women's match at TakeOver and tell me that there isn't a huge difference, because there really is. Stop putting these women in a box, because it is ruining everything. Kana is, you cannot waste this opportunity. This is a woman who can bring so much notoriety, who can bring so much validity to this division. You need to have her. You need to keep her in top form. Please don't ruin her. I am begging you. This is a huge deal. And I'm worried that the WWE is just going to screw this up. But that is about it for me. I'm running way into overtime. I can go all day, but I'm trying to keep this to at least 15 plus minutes. I don't want to go much farther than that. But so with that being said, it is about that time again, which means that I need you to do me a favor. Make sure that you like, share, and subscribe to The Breaking Point. Make sure you join me right back here tomorrow morning, same time, same place. And as always, consider the point broken.